Welcome back to lesson number 6 in our music theory video tutorial series. This is also lesson number 6. It's not a happy face. It's a whole note, which is 4 beats, and a half note, which is 2 beats, which means 6. But we're going to talk about accidentals today. Accidentals are really important. You're going to see them all the time in actually 2 different ways, one being key signatures, which is the next video. Right now, we're going to talk about very specific symbols, which are called accidentals. Now, lesson sharp 6 is also something that you will recognize at the end of the video. Here we go. Accidentals. Now, we talked about the note naming in the last 2 videos, 5 and 5.5, and I also gave you some examples of note naming. So either way, when you are looking at your music and you see those 5 lines, the staff, it doesn't matter what the clef is, the accidental is going to tell you when a note is changing. Even though it looks like it's in the same position, let's say I put a note here, that note could be 3 different notes technically. And that means an accidental is needed to tell us the difference. So if I was to say this is the treble clef, and you used the same rules we had last time with every good boy deserves fudge, or FACE for the spaces, this would be an A. But let's say I put this symbol in front of it. Now this is called an A sharp. Let's say I put this symbol in front of it. Now it's called an A flat. But strangely enough, if I put this symbol in front of it, it's still just an A. This is also one of our accidentals. Let's look at what they mean and why they are what they are. I'm going to put them in order from highest to lowest. Our 3 very famous, most common accidentals. There are others, but I promise you don't need them, at least not for a very long time. The first one is called a sharp. Some people call this a hashtag if you're on Twitter or whatever other social media you're on. It was actually a number sign before that, the old-fashioned phones. And even before that, it was a sharp. It's been a sharp for a very long time. Let's just stick with our sharp. Hashtag came later. So you can actually use the word sharp if you're talking on Twitter. The next one is called a natural. And a natural actually means nothing. This means no change to the note at all. But we have this symbol for a special reason, and we'll figure out why in a minute. The last one we have is called a flat. Now, in order, if a natural means nothing, and we have our musical alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, the letters we learned in the last 2 videos, then this natural means A, B, C, D, E, F, G. No change to those notes. It's natural form, just an A, just a B, just a C. So even if you have a natural in front of a note or a letter, it doesn't actually mean there's something different. It means just play a regular E. Now, what if I added a sharp? This is where we start changing some things. Now, a sharp raises the sound of the note. The note gets a little bit higher. It gets 1 step higher or a semitone higher. And we'll talk about semitones later on as well in a different video. So the sharp raises a note while the flat lowers a note. Let's repeat this. A natural keeps it the same. Its natural form, whatever that note is, whatever that letter is, it means no change at all. A sharp will make the note sound higher, and a flat will make the note sound lower. That's really it for naturals, sharps, and flats, also called accidentals. If you can figure out why they're called accidentals, I would be very impressed. You can always leave a comment in the video, this video, and below it, because some people might not realize, and it's really interesting, the history of why these things are called what they are. It's not like a car accident or a car crash. It's very, very different. So let's look at it in our staff. Our 5 lines. Now, I'm going to put some bar lines in a second, and I'll show you why. Because if you remember in the last video, video 3, I think, bar lines are a reset. So here we go. We have this note. Let's call it an A. Let's say I put another A right beside it. It's still an A. How about another A beside it? It's also an A. I now have 3 A's in a row, 3 half notes in a row. Let's say I put a sharp in front of this one. And here's where we get into some very, very funny rules. So the sharp means that this A is now sharp. So now we have an A sharp. But because the other A's are still in line with this, they're the exact same note, and there's nothing telling us what these notes are going to be changing to, that also makes the rest of these sharp. So when you have one accidental, the following notes that are on the exact same position are also sharp. The other A's, higher and lower, are not going to be sharp. There's the first rule. You follow the first accidental you see. Here's another rule. If I put a flat, now this A is still sharp. This A has now become a flat. And if I follow that first rule we just learned, that makes this A also a flat. So now I have A sharp, and I have A flat, A flat. Now what if I put one more note here just for fun, and I put a sharp here? Would this note become A flat still? No, because that sharp is now canceled out everything before that. So now we're back to A sharp. Or what if I put, hope I can erase nicely. There we go. If I put a natural. Now, this natural is just to remind me that this A is not flat anymore. It's just a regular old A. Nothing different about it. Let's add one more change, and this is going to be hopefully not confusing. Let's add a bar line. Now what happens is, if you remember, the bar line resets. Not only does it reset the time signature, your count, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way through to the bar, and then the next 1, 2, 3, 4 until the next bar line. But what it does is it also resets any accidentals you have. So this A is A sharp. This A is now A flat because there's a flat there. This A used to be A flat because we're following the same accidental across. But now that there's a bar line here, it's resetting back to a regular old A, as if this was never there in the first place. The bar line is the reset button, which also makes this natural not useful. We don't need it anymore because this A was already natural to begin with. So we have A sharp, A flat, bar line resets. So this is now just an A, just an A. What if I add one sharp here? Now this A is sharp. This A still stays the way it is. The next A after will go back to a regular A because that bar line is there. That's really it. That's the number one key rule about, there's 2 rules about accidentals. That they can follow each other. They don't change unless there is a new accidental or there's a bar line to reset. I hope this helps. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.